Welcome to the SQology podcast, brought to you by ResoNix Sound Solutions, the very best in automotive sound treatment and the North American distributor of Accuton Automotive and Micro Precision. Today, we're interviewing the man himself, Nick Apicella of ResoNix. If you want to check out their website, ResoNixSoundSolutions.com, there's a link in the description. A lot of what Nick has done and what he's been able to accomplish through ResoNix, I've learned a lot about the different sound treatment materials and what they're doing with that and how to use it. And they've also got a lot of resources for tuning and education and a lot of different things. So definitely check out their website. No matter what products you use, there's a lot to learn there. But obviously, Nick has a lot of great products that he's offering there. And we're going to discuss that more today with the interview with him and our co-host, Ben Zimmerman. Thank you much. I'm here with Ben Zimmerman again. Hi, Ben.
Hi.
And Nick, is it Apicella?
Apicella.
Yeah. Look at that. So I did it better than half the people presenting awards.
Yeah.
Where do you stake your claim as far as you're Nick Apicella with who and what?
ResoNix Sound Solutions, first and foremost. And I am firing up Apicella Auto Sound again, I guess you could say. But little different than before. I guess we can, get into that later. Sure. But yeah, I'm Nick Apicella, owner, founder, operator, janitor of ResoNix Sound Solutions.
See, I always said ResoNix. I'm happy to hear you say. I'm happy to hear you say it the correct way. Now I will try and correct myself every time I say it wrong.
Well, if you think about it, the name ResoNix is a play on two words: reso, resonance, and nix, like getting rid of. So you're nixing resonance. So you combine those two words together, you get ResoNix.
Oh, all I heard was getting rid of Nick.
Yeah.
Nick's. Nick.
All right. Sorry. I'll stop interrupting.
No, that's your job. That's the whole reason you're here. Backing up 18 or 19 months, what got you into car audio?
Jesus Christ, 18 or 19 months.
Kidding.
So what got me into car audio, first and foremost, for some reason, was always into having good earbuds in high school. Don't know why. Not even that they were good at the time, but I was always interested in having, something that was better than what came with an iPod. And then from there, my cousin got a subwoofer installed in his truck, and he would give me a ride to high school. He was a senior at the time, and I was in 11th grade. And I was sitting in the back of his truck, and I'm like, man, this is too much bass. Like, why don't you, flatten it out a little bit so we can hear the music? And that's kind of where I always look back at that as like, oh, I was always into enjoying, music, I guess, relatively accurately. Mm-hmm. From there, another one of my good friends got, basic radio and subwoofer in his car. And then a few months later, I got my first car, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to immediately start ripping this apart and get myself some Sony Explodes.
Nice.
And yeah, those are my first subs. Some nice red hexagon or whatever Sony Explodes with a Sony Explode amp. And it all kind of spiraled out of control. Yeah. Nice sealed enclosure. Took up every bit of trunk room that I had.
It's funny you said that as part of your intro, how you got into it, because like thinking back, like all of my other like non-car audio friends who have car audio, it's the same way. It's just all stock everything and then boom, 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 boom. Like,
yeah.
Come on, guys. Yeah.
Yeah. But it really quickly spiraled, I guess you could say, out of control. Cliff, did you just fart?
No, that was...
I heard Cliff's kid getting home.
Yeah, exactly. That was my son's Honda Accord.
Oh, nice.
It sounded exactly like a Honda Accord, too. From when I was 16, actually.
Yeah, you probably were 16 when that, or thereabouts, when it was actually a current Honda Accord.
Yeah. I had an 89 Accord that I think was the same generation as your kids.
Yeah, his is 94, so...
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Now I have to look up the generations and see, but...
I want to say those are two different generations, but anyway, what got you got that far with having a system and some boom and some X-Plot and those kinds of things? What got you wanting to do more, wanting to get deeper into it?
Good question. I really don't know what made me keep going for more. I think because one of my friends, Matei, he kept pushing me to do more, and we kind of were two car audio buddies, like doing it together.
Mm-hmm.
It just kept more and more and more bass. And then I think one day, I think I just randomly across Google found a build log on the DIY mobile audio forums
Mm-hmm.
by I forget what his user. Oh, it was by Bow Down. His name's Justin. Still friends with him to this day. But I came across his build log, and he was doing a spare tire well subwoofer, but actually built into his tire. Really interesting. He was doing A pillars with like planar tweeters, and I was like, what the hell is this?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like so intrigued, like so mind blown. I was like, what even is this? This is wild. Like, what is going on over here? What is this guy doing? And I read like, 10 pages of whatever he was doing. And I was like, this place is crazy. These people are talking about stuff that I don't even know what the words are. And I gotta see what the hell's going on here. And that's kind of where it really all took a nosedive into chaos.
You have competed off and on here and there, but you were working in the industry before you competed, correct?
I think it kind of started at the same time.
Okay.
I did, I guess you could say, an apprenticeship, only because I didn't get paid at a shop in Manhattan back in, I don't remember what year it was, but I was 21 years old. I just turned 21 and was doing like an apprenticeship there. And then, I did that for the spring and summer and into the fall, and then winter rolled around. And, I don't know if anyone listening to this, snowboarding is my first hobby over everything. And as soon as winter came around, I was like, see you guys later. I'm going snowboarding for the winter.
Right.
And spring rolled back around, got a normal job, and then winter, and then spring again. And, a couple years later, I was still friends with the guys there. One day, Pete, the lead installer there at the time, called me back, and he was like, hey, you want to come work here again? I was like, well, I never worked there. I did manual labor there, but I didn't technically work there. And he's like, well, you'd get paid this time. And I was like,
this time.
All right. Yeah. And I was like, all right, yeah, cool. Let's go. So I did the same thing. I worked there. I was, installing. I was, and they also really wanted me to come on because one of the guys there was retiring, and he was like a sales guy, like working up front. So they were having me bounce back and forth doing both. And then, again, winter rolled around again, and I got out of there, and sorry, see you later. And after that winter, I was working. Sorry, my cat is meowing right behind me. I don't know if you could hear that.
Yep.
That winter, I was working for the local mountain doing film and photography, and also I got my feet wet working with a magazine as well, Trans World Snowboard magazine. And this is it. Like, this is what I really want to do. I want to be in the snowboard industry doing filming and photographing.
Okay.
And, the end of the winter rolled around, and I was like, all right, I don't have a job lined up. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to do installs out of my driveway. And that's when I started Apicella Auto Sound back in March of 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably about the time that we kind of first met in real life, right? Like during SVR,
yeah,
you had the Prius?
I had the Civic.
Or
No,
Civic.
that was Kevin.
Okay.
Yeah, Kevin had the Prius. Kevin worked for me.
Okay.
He had the Prius. And yeah, that first year, I think we met for the first time. I think we obviously knew who each other were.
Right.
But
everybody has to know there's two Nicks. They've probably figured that out by now. There's the Nick online, who's kind of a jerk, and then there's the real Nick that you meet in real person. You're like, who's this guy? I've never met this guy before.
I was going with asshole. You said jerk.
wow, come on, man.
Well,
I'm just very
Apicella was French for asshole, I thought.
That's funny. But no, I mean, I guess it more so comes down to I will admit I definitely have a lack of patience during certain parts of my life where I'm just like I don't know, lack of patience and just being quick and like matter of fact. Like a lot of people say is like, yeah, he's just matter of fact, and like that's just the way I go about kind of everything. It's there's no need for details in between. It's just let's get to the point. And a lot of people online take it the wrong way, but then they meet me in person and it's like, oh wait, you're not a dick. Interesting. It's like, no, it's like, it's you.
That's my persona, man.
Yeah.
And I will say you meet a lot of people who online, and they put out this persona and they know it all and whatever. And I'm not saying you do that, but I mean you had a
Oh, I definitely did. I'll be the first person to admit that I definitely did.
But at the same time, then when I heard your car, I was like, I think I even said, I was like, this is surprisingly good. This was enjoyable. Like it didn't.
No, it wasn't. Back then, the Civic was not that good.
It was better than I expected.
Yeah, it was decent.
Better than 60 to 80 hertz. Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it did its thing, but it was a basic install.
Yeah.
Like I always, and I don't know, Cliff, do you have any background being like an actual installer in a shop?
Not installing, no.
Okay, so it's like the installer's curse. When you're working on other people's cars around the clock, you never ever get to really put effort into your own car.
I do get that.
I know a bunch of installers with the same
Yeah.
situation. Yes,
every installer, damn near every installer. It wasn't until I got my Volvo. Damn near every installer. I didn't say every installer.
I was gonna say I know a few who have some pretty nice systems.
Yeah, but then they have employees that they have do it. They're not doing it themselves.
I'm thinking of David Cruz, to be honest, and he damn well built the whole thing, as far as I know.
Yeah. No.
Oh yeah, his car is really nice. Never heard it, but his car.
That's a guy we might want to line up for one of these interview kind of things we're doing. Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely. And it's funny you mentioned David Cruz. I was actually going to suggest to you Pierce as well. Pierce Barrett.
Agreed.
He's a dude. He's so good at what he does, and he's a young kid also. And he worked with David back in at Soundscape.
Yep.
Yeah. Get the gang back together.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you saw Dave Ungaro is opening Soundscape again.
Dan?
Yeah,
yep.
Ungaro?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's in Colorado now.
Yeah, he's in Colorado, but he's opening Soundscape, and I saw this little intro video he's doing, and it's really cool because it's like at the same time I'm kind of doing the same thing.
Right.
A little different situation, but yeah, it's just neat to see him going back to what he really wants to do, it seems like.
Absolutely. Yeah, Dan's actually, right now composing, but we'll have composed the opening sequence for this podcast. So
nice.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
Nick, I want to get back to your. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Getting back to how you started Dima, DIYMI, however we want to talk about it. That's where I met you.
Okay.
I know you had a huge presence there, and I'm just curious how you turned a online community into a audience for your business. Like, do you have any insight into how that
So
went?
yeah, I mean, I do. So like I said, back in 2011, like early 2011 is when I joined there. Because again, I was like, oh my God, like what are all these builds? These people are talking about crazy stuff that I never knew about. And remember back then it was just me and my buddy in our driveways, just like Wild West nonsense. I had like lead acid batteries like back in my trunk, wires all over the place. Like it was crazy. And it was just big subs. It was whatever I could fit in a 2004 Nissan Sentra. And whatever door speakers slapped into the door. My first decent set of speakers were hybrid audios. But Dima, whatever you want to call it. 2011 I joined, and I just started reading and learning and listening and whatever. 2011 I was 19 years old, and like I said, I started my apprenticeship at that shop when I was 21. In between being 19 to 21, I did so much reading and so much cutting of my car and so much just trying stuff. And I started piecing together like ways to make my system actually start sounding good. At the shop, I started learning a lot of like actual skills from people that have been in the industry for like 20 years and are talented fabricators. And I started quickly learning. Be careful of what you read on the internet because a lot of it is bullshit.
Yep.
So like I was on there for like 3 years until I started working in a shop, and there's knowledge like here and there, but I quickly realized like you get a lot of nonsense mixed in. And when I
You
started
still
at the
do.
shop, yeah, you still do.
100%.
And
Yes.
I think that's part of why I'm like viewed as, oh, like Nick's an asshole or whatever, because I don't like to tolerate misinformation when I clearly know it's misinformation, because I take like a personal stance on it, because like I said, started on DIY mobile audio, and for 3 years had no one to really guide me besides these names on a website. And then I actually learned in person and realized, wow, these not these people, but like I kind of wasted my time for the past 3 years listening to most of this, because I realized most of this is just wrong. At the same time, it still gave me a foundation to know what things are and aren't, but a lot of it was just not correct. So after that, I kind of held like a personal gripe, I guess you could say, against poor information.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And then how I turned it into the business, almost like a billboard for myself, was just helping people. As I started working at the shop and like started gaining real knowledge, hands-on experience, and started doing stuff, I was able to provide a whole lot more insight than what your average person on there could. Next thing you know, I was one of the guys to go to for advice, and it just happened really quick. Between working there and doing my own stuff, I kind of learned a lot and knew how to do a lot of things, knew how to source a lot of things, knew where to point people in the right direction. I just became like one of the guys that was always on there and always helping people. So as soon as I realized back in March of 2017, I was like, oh wait, I don't have a job lined up for the spring and summer. I was like, screw it, I'm going to install out of my parents' driveway. And I posted that. People already knew me, and they knew that I had an idea of what I was doing back then.
Right.
They're like, oh, I would trust Nick. And guess what? I was also only charging like $35 an hour.
Right.
So it's like no brainer. And yeah, I just started doing installs and just started posting them. And next thing you know, winter was about to roll around. It was like September. And I only intended to do that for like that summer, or maybe just springs and summers only. So I emailed the guys, like my contact at the magazine, and I was like, hey, what's the plan for this winter? I really want to, get back to filming with you guys. Ideally, I'd prefer to work on like your next movie that you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he got back to me like, within a few hours, and he was like, hey, I'm not really sure what we're doing yet. And just for those that don't know, like in the snowboard industry, like, yes, snowboarding happens obviously in the winter, but Cliff's farting again. Obviously snowboarding happens in the winter, but the industry side of it, everything is pre-planned the year before. Everything. Down to the trips, to what's happening, to what the articles are going to be, to what the ads are going to look like, to what, the art direction for companies is going to be. Everything is pre-planned like a year or two in advance.
Right.
And the fact that this guy who he's like the editor of the magazine,
chief
editor, he didn't know what was happening in September. I was like, whoa, that's weird. I think I have to continue this car audio thing, especially since he said, he's like, maybe follow up with me in a couple weeks. And I did, and, didn't really hear anything back from him. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to continue this, but I can't work out of my parents' driveway in the fall. So I gotta go rent the shop. And that's when I rented a shop right in town and got started. Turns out that snowboard magazine was in the process of being bought out by a bigger company and was getting gutted. Yeah,
nice.
That's why.
Good foresight.
Yeah. So it made sense why he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, right. It kind of sucked. Well, he knew what was going on. He just wasn't allowed to say anything.
Not going to tell you.
Right.
Yeah. Some guy that he met like 3 times.
who just wants a job when the guy himself doesn't know what he has for a job.
Yeah, exactly.
So who do you think influenced you the most during that time, especially when you made this more into a semi-career, if not career?
At the time, I guess who inspired me like to what I can do with my current situation, like working out of my garage, not even my garage, my parents' garage, and then moving into a small shop. I guess the only person I could really say would be Bing from Simplicity and Sound. He did like the same thing. He started out of his garage on the forums, and moved into a shop. And next thing you know, he's successful. He's back, he has a 6 to 8 month wait list. Super nice dude, does great work. And like that was kind of like the same formula I guess I was following. Not that I was purposely like looking at what he was doing, but it did tell me that it could work.
Right.
And frankly, the whole time I was doing this, my parents were not stoked about it, frankly. Every step of the way, my parents were not stoked about. And to be real, like, oh yeah, hey, mom and dad, I'm 24 or 25 years old. I still live at your house rent free. I'm going to use your entire driveway and your 2-car garage
and bring a bunch of strangers over.
Yeah, no, literally, like, I don't even want to go over those.
We'll just use your liability insurance, right?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. The characters, as you guys know, some of the characters that we have in car audio, they're coming over, dropping cars off and hanging out, and it's just like a little weird. But whatever, they were like, you need to go do this somewhere else. I was like, no, I'm not doing this anywhere else because no one else does this. Like, yes, people do car audio, but people don't do this.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't explain this to mom and dad. It doesn't, this doesn't exist to mom and there's no difference. Right. So
you can't explain this to any reasonable people. Really.
No, you really can't. So
my wife still doesn't know what I do, and she used to work in car audio. So
my parents still don't know exactly what I do.
Right.
Yeah. I'm serious. Like I sort of, my parents still don't know. Exactly
it's so difficult to explain because you almost feel like a little kid doing it. Like, well, I play with stereos in cars.
I just honestly, I tell people these days I have a script. Like when my parents' friends, oh, so what do I hear you do, stereos, and I'm like, I just say, I'm an acoustic engineer. I don't know. Like, let's just leave it at that. I don't want to talk about it. You're not going to get it. You're going to look at me like I have 3 heads. I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to talk about what I do because it is weird. It is a little weird. Yeah. Like, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be embarrassing to talk about. And it's not that it's embarrassing. Yeah. It's not that it's inherently embarrassing. It's just like, how do you explain this to someone that doesn't care?
Right. Yeah. And you just get the blank, oh, okay.
When someone explains to me like something niche that they do, frankly, I don't give a shit.
Right.
Yeah. And guess what? If I can get them to stop talking immediately, I would. So I do it for the person that I'm talking to. I'm like, look, I know the second I start talking, you're going to want me to shut the hell up. So I'm just going to do it for you.
It's funny. I tuned a car with Focal M speakers, right? And my father-in-law saw the post and was talking to me about it. And he saw the box stack of speakers or whatever. I was like, yeah, there's probably like $6,000 in speakers there. He looked at me and he says, does it really make a difference? And I mean, if you had to ask a question, no, probably not. Like if to you, it probably doesn't make a difference.
Well, actually, so what I've noticed over the years, being like a shop owner and having a lot of people in and out over the years, people do actually notice if you show them. The thing is, people don't have access to it these days. Right. People don't have to go out and buy a home stereo anymore because our TVs sound perfectly fine to watch Netflix. Our headphones, the wireless headphones that come with our phone or tablet, they are perfectly fine. Let's be real, like they're fine from a functionality standpoint. And even then, and then some, so they don't have to go out and like, honey, we need to go to whatever stereo shop. Like we have to go buy a stereo receiver and speakers so we could even hear our TV. And next thing you know, they spend more on the home audio system just to watch TV than the TV itself. And next thing you know, they're like, wait a second, we have a cool stereo. And that was a thing back then. And I've actually been learning about this very recently. I've been hanging out in a local shop, helping them doing tuning and integration and stuff like that. And the owner, Bruce, one of the owners, Bruce, he has been in that location as the owner for 40 years.
Wow.
And he has so much insight into how we got to where we are today that I never even knew. And it's crazy. Like, listen to your elders. It's like they do have some insight,
Yeah. Yeah.
And, when I started hanging around and, like I said, doing tuning for them and supplying ResoNix to them, and, I would just now I go there, I purposely just walk into the front where he is and I sit down and I wait for him to start talking.
Nice.
Because he always has something new from, like, back in the day. This is how it was. And, like, this is why things evolved to what it is now. And it's like, interesting. But yeah, nowadays, sorry to cut you off and ramble about this, but yeah, like, people can notice a difference. They just don't have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, with the amount of curiosity and the amount of veracity that you attack a subject, to this point, what would you say has been your biggest aha moment?
As far as what? Like,
just
running
in general, whether it be doing the business of car audio or car audio in general, or something that you feel, broke you into your own.
I don't think there is one, because honestly, I learn something new every day. I've been a business owner. I've been in this industry for like 7 years now, or 6.5 years now, but that is nothing compared to, how long it really takes to learn how everything, like, really works. So when it comes to, like, the business side of things, like, I'm still learning. I'm learning other parts of the industry that guys like sound quality cardio guys would never even think of. I'm breaking into other industries. I'm breaking into the commercial side of things with sound treatment. I'm breaking into the aerospace engineering companies with ResoNix. Like, these are things that I never knew about and never knew how to do. So, like, every day has its own aha moment. But I think for me, in the car audio industry, when I was installing and a shop owner, I think the biggest one was when I realized all you have to do is ask the customer, and they will probably say yes. I know a lot of listeners to this are probably not going to like to hear that, but when a customer comes to you and says, I have $10,000 to spend on this system, that's it. And you say, cool, come listen to my car. Let's see what you like. And then they listen to it and be like, okay, they obviously love it. They get out and you're like, all right, we're going to do a $25,000 system. And guess what they say every time? They say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Learning that people, and this directly goes off what Ben said, people can hear a difference. They just need to be shown. That's it. And, like, a lot of my customers were pre-existing car audio people. It's not like they're getting their first sound system. They're just coming to me for the first time, but they've been doing this for 20 years. And I stick them in my car and they're like, holy shit, I didn't know this was a thing, but I was willing to spend X amount of money on much less than this. I didn't even know this was a thing. So yeah, we'll spend more money on that. So to anyone who's in this industry listening to this, I'm going to tell you right now, build your goddamn car, learn how to tune it, and you will make your life so much easier. It'll make your job so much easier, and things will be cool. People ask me all the time, Nick, how the hell did you start getting all these crazy jobs? It's because I just showed them what is possible. That's it.
So demoing your vehicle has been crucial.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I can provide the stats for you. Before I got my Volvo, my average sale was $7,800. After I got my Volvo, I started working on it within the week I got it, and it had a functional, quote unquote, functional system by the time I got it in late August. And by the time October rolled around, it had a functional system in it. The trunk was torn apart, but no one's looking in the trunk anyway. Had a Helix V12, just DSP amplifier on Focal Utopias in the factory location. No subwoofer, just speakers tuned, integrated. Everything looks stock. And immediately my tickets went up to about $14,000 on average. Within a year or two of that, getting the full system done and just getting better at utilizing my car to demo to customers, my average ticket's over $23,000.
Yeah, that resonates with my experience. I mean, my shop, here in Central Illinois, we don't really have the clientele that New Yorkers probably do, or the people that come from far away do.
You'd be
still,
surprised.
Like, Yeah, I don't know.
There's money.
But
What I've
still,
learned is there's money everywhere. And I'm not,
yeah.
by the way, I do want to provide some I'm not like sitting here like, haha, I got you guys, tricked you. Like, it's like, no, like I'm
I
just
don't know.
here showing
You just have
you.
to show them what's
I'm just here
possible.
like
Right?
showing you guys like, hey, if this is a system you want, we can do this. And they're always like, no, you know what? No. Yeah, let's do that. Like, let's do
Right.
something like that. And I'm like, okay, here's
Yeah.
how we do it. And this is how much it's going to cost. And it's never any question about it. It's like, yeah, let's do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. But
But
I've experienced very similar experiences where you sit a potential customer down in your own vehicle and let them listen to what they want to hear, and they hear it in a whole new way, and they just yeah they
yeah,
want to do it. Like there's take away the
Whoa.
obstacles and let's just whatever it takes. We'll just let's do it.
Yeah, the art of the demo is very important in this industry, and I think the industry professionals are really dropping the ball here. There's a lot of opportunity to show people what you're capable of and what they could have. The fact that there's so many people that like go to K-Fest and go to Master Tech and go to trainings and talk about it, and they're in the Facebook groups and they're doing this and whatever. They talk about it, they show up, but they don't do it. It's like kind of disheartening, to be honest. It's and one of the things I want to do is actual like hands-on training stuff with ResoNix for industry professionals and hobbyists. But I'm almost a little nervous now that like people aren't even going to do it. They say they care about it. And Ben, like, let's be real for a second. How many installs have you listened to from shops that are supposed to be really good that just sound like garbage?
Oh, it happens all the time. I
It's
retune
it's all the
systems
time.
for
I've
from other
I've
shops for a
gotten
lot. Yeah.
multiple cars from installers that you would not even believe, and they just sound not even not great. They just sound horrible. And
Yeah.
it's like, dude, we gotta this industry as a whole has gotta stop talking about it, and we gotta do it. We gotta stop making things oversimplified because it is complicated. We gotta stop just talking about it and talking about it in a 45-minute class at K-Fest. You gotta do it. You gotta get your car, you gotta get your hands dirty, and you gotta fucking practice tuning. You gotta practice installing, you gotta practice more tuning and get good at it. Because we're going to go away if you don't. If you're not good at this, we're going to be gone. These OEMs are catching up and they have every opportunity to put us all out of business right now. Just be thankful that right now they aren't taking that opportunity. They are still penny pinching, but the second they stop and they listen to Harman Kardon instead of the marketing team dictating what the system should sound like, we as an industry are screwed as far as car audio goes. The second that car manufacturers really start caring about what their systems sound like. And I think we need to get our shit together as a whole.
And I was going to ask, with having that confidence that you're kind of giving the consumer when you're demoing your vehicle, obviously not every person has your vehicle with your system, with your setup going into it. So what is it that gives, because I think this is kind of a breaking point for many enthusiasts, competitors, and retailers, is having the confidence that they'll experience that in their vehicle when you're done or when they're done. And what has given you the confidence that you will be able to satisfy the customer at that level, dollar amount level, when they haven't heard their car with that system in it?
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm always very transparent. I'm like, I just shortened my, I guess I'm not even going to say sales pitch, but my demo to you guys. I shortened it. But part of it is, showing, what's possible in my car. Obviously, we discuss the client's car well before they're even at the shop.
Sure.
Like I said, back when I was fully operating, I had a wait list of, at one point, a year and a half long. So we're in discussion well before they even step foot into my car. But once they say, okay, well, maybe we do something that's closer to this. And it's like, okay, well, the pros and cons for your situation are going to be X, Y, and Z. We need to also explain to them, your car isn't going to sound like this. I can confidently say that your car is not going to sound as good as my Volvo, period. It's just probably not possible unless you're throwing six figures at me. and letting me cut whatever hole I goddamn please.
Right.
But once you can explain to them, look, your car, if you're stuck on OEM locations and you're using a upper door mid-range location and a sail panel tweeter, like, it's only going to sound this good. And I can already describe to you what it's going to sound like. Yes, it's going to be wide, but it's going to be a little bit more diffuse, and the sound stage is going to be a little bit more forward, and we're going to lack a little bit of this and that and yada 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 compared to these setups, because as you guys know, like, we've done all of these. We know what we can look at an install and we can mostly tell what the characteristics of it are going to be.
Right.
Outside of like the craziest of crazy installs, like for like stock location type installs, you can almost, Ben, and Cliff, I think you guys both would agree. Like, you can look at a car and be like, I already know what this is going to feel like, this car, right?
I've had some surprises, but yes.
There's definitely surprises, but for the most part, there's a general, it's pretty predictable. So all you have to do is be able to explain that to your customer and make sure they're understanding of it, and it's fine. They get in their car and it's exactly what they were hoping for, and then some, and it's great. And all of the little cons, like all of the little like impossibilities with their install, like, aren't even a question, because you already told them about it. You already told them that was a thing. And that's actually another part of our issue where, like, again, these people are doing installs day in and day out, but let's be real, they're mostly not doing much tuning, if at all. They're probably not doing much listening, if at all, like critical listening and really knowing what's going on, to where I highly doubt that they can even explain these actual differences. And that's another part that I think our industry needs to pick up on. I think the most important thing for our industry right now is, again, to just get yourself a proper demo car and have at it, like, genuinely have at it. Get some experience.
Absolutely.
It's going to be really helpful.
You talked about characters in car audio, and I'm curious if you can describe how, when you started in Dima, whatever.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The characters there. So the internet has evolved, right? And the forums are dying or dead. And we have these new things called Facebook groups and other outlets. But I know you're a pretty big celebrity, I guess you could say, in a very particular group. Well, let's talk about strictly sound quality, because you are heavily involved there. Are you an admin? Are you the owner?
Yeah, I'm an admin.
What's your role?
No, okay. I mean, it's just me and the guys. Like, we just run it, I guess you could say. I mean, to be honest, we don't really. It's not real. I'll be the first one to admit it. We're not really as passionate about it as we used to be, because we've been doing it for like 8 years now.
And now you're seeing a lot of the same stuff over and over and over. It's repeating. And it's not even repeating itself.
It's not even that it's the same stuff over and over and over again. Like, that's what, and that's also, I guess why you could say part of it is, like, from me, is like very quick, very blunt, and to the point, because I've answered this question 500 times before.
Use the search.
But not only really that, it's Facebook has figured out what makes them money. And that is more users, more screen time, more ads, more of this. And they've tailored their groups, their news, like the feeds, the pages, to all just keep engagement. Get everything engaging. So they've designed these groups in a way that, like, perfectly nails down keep engagement up. But what is engagement? Engagement is just constant posting, commenting, liking, posting, commenting, liking. Of course, if you have X amount of people in a group, you can only make so many posts before it's repetitive, and like dulled down and watered down and just nonsense. And it's like, I kind of blame that on what Facebook is now. Because, back when things were a little bit different, like, it was more manageable. Even when we always had over 10,000 members. Like, we've had over 10,000 members for, like, after the first year, I think we had 10,000 members.
It exploded pretty much instantly.
But it's because it was the first, like, sound quality based car audio group,
right? And you had a lot of migration from the Dima membership.
Yeah, but there was only so many people on Dima. It's not like there was 10,000 people on Dima,
right? Right.
But I think now, like, in the past, like, 2 or 3 years, we've noticed, like, it's really hard to make Facebook a place of information because it's purposely meant to just post it, and in 3 hours the
gone.
post is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know? So I don't know. It's just the way the world is now, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So on your professional side of things, again, for not having, compared to some people, you've been here now a plenty respectable amount of time, but in that time, you've kind of done a little bit of everything. I mean, you went from an enthusiast to, doing installs,
shop sweeper,
to
sales guy,
having
to shop owner,
to then having a shop, to then having a bigger shop. I mean, you got pretty big there with substantial employees and everything else, and kind of at the same time building ResoNix and becoming a, for lack of a better word, a brand or manufacturer that's now very well known in the industry and other industries as well outside of car audio. Having done that now, what are you most excited about now? And is there anything you would have done different?
Oh boy. What am I most excited about right now is for a specific situation to wrap up and I could get on with my goddamn life. I'm sure you guys know about it. I'm not sure if my lawyer would be very happy about me talking about it.
I get it.
But I'm very happy with how that is all going. And I can't. Oh, we're so close. Like if this podcast was like a week later, I'd probably be able to like scream to the hills, like, whatever. But what I'm really excited for outside of that right now is growing ResoNix. Like I said, I'm just starting to get my feet wet in the commercial side of sound treatment. And I'm also, this is crazy. I don't even know. They didn't tell me I'm not allowed to talk about this. So whatever.
Careful.
No, I mean, they told me, they're like, look, we're not telling you all the details, but we'll tell you what we're allowed to tell you. And I guess that means I'm allowed to tell you guys. I was contacted by an aerospace engineering company. And long story short, they are very, very interested in using my product in a couple of their projects. And how they even came across our product was through the internet, which is weird because you would think these companies already have their suppliers and, whatever. Right. But I asked them the story about how you found me and why you ended up with me. And they said, well, we kind of went back to square one because this particular project that we're working on is very, very specific. And we figured, just using the same old stuff, we were probably just going to be, doing a disservice. Yeah, we know the guys over there that make this, why not use that? But this project is so specific that they had to go back to square one. And, what they ended up doing was they found over 120 different sound deadener, constrained layer damper products. And the first step to this for them was finding out if they're even able to use it for this project, which included country of origin, ingredients, and temperature ratings and base level data. Right. They scrubbed for that stuff, and some companies failed without them even knowing. They just looked on their website oh, this is made in over there, that's a fail, or this clearly doesn't hold up to cold or heat, that's a fail. They don't even know it. But all of my stuff has plenty of data on the website. Any little bit of data you could ask for about my products, I have it, and it's all on the website. So they saw that. They were really impressed by that. About 80 of these products out of the 120 passed the initial, all right, let's just look at the specs and country of origin. And 80 made it through. And that's when they called me. They placed an order. And, I didn't think anything of it. I just saw a name. I didn't know who it was really going to. And they called me 3 weeks later at 8 a.m. I'm still sleeping. And
haven't gone to sleep
I answer
yet.
the phone. Yeah, haven't gone to sleep yet. And I'm like, hello? ResoNix Sound Solutions, Nick speaking with my best voice. That is like, I swear to God, I wasn't sleeping. But
And I'm the owner of the company.
yeah, you know that voice you do when you answer the phone and you try your best to not sound like you were just sleeping. And I'm like, ResoNix Sound Solutions, Nick speaking, and she's like, hey, I'm calling from blah 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 company. We placed an order about 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, oh God, did it not make it there? Like, do I have to send another one? She's like, no, it made it here. And she's like, our engineers are really want to talk to you.
Sounds like a typical purchasing rep.
yeah, kind of. And I was like, oh, okay. How? And she's like, we're gonna call you in 2 hours if that's okay, or in an hour. And I was like, okay, sure. And I hang up, and I didn't even realize what was going on. And they call me, and I'm on the phone with them, and next thing you know, it's 5 people in a room and me. And they're all like, hey, Mike, I'm Jim, this dude. And they're like, we are the engineers for blah, blah, blah aerospace engineering company. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, what's up? How can I help you? And immediately they just start rattling off like the most questions I've ever been asked about my products. Ones that people have never asked me before, but I obviously, I know every answer about my product possible.
Right.
But, next thing you know, we're on the phone for over an hour, and I'm like, wait, guys, what are you doing? Like, you're asking me all of these questions without just asking me, hey, this is our application. Will your product work? Or how should we use it? And they're like, and I just like call them out. I'm like, you guys are dancing around something here. What is going on? And they kind of murmur to themselves, and they're like, should we tell them? Are we allowed to tell them? And they're like, well, we could tell them, the basis of it. And they're like, all right, so we are working for a customer, let's just say, who has a 1-of-1 spacecraft that we need to control structure-borne vibration in. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, aerospace consulting company, spacecraft. I'm like, all right, it's probably a satellite, like whatever.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, it's metal. It resonates. Like, this is the product. And I was like, that was kind of it. And then they kept calling me back for like more questions, do you guys have this certification? Here you go. Like, do you guys have this? Here you go. Like, here's the data. Here's this. And as I talk to them more, I'm getting little bits of information out of them. Long story short, it's the U.S. military is the customer. There is one of these quote unquote spacecrafts in existence, and there are pilots to it. They are manned. This is a manned spacecraft that is owned by the military, and they want to use my product. They were testing many, many different products, and they got more for testing, and they called me back. The last call I had with them was, yours is not only the one that you guys smashed everything as far as resonance control goes. And I'm like, well, of course I could have told you that.
Right.
But they were like, also, yours was the only one that was able to handle negative 70 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, you're like, well, I hadn't really tested that in real life, but
yeah, I was like, well, I was like, cool. All right. So we're like, so yeah, you're going on a, test flight in November. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's crazy.
Cool.
So yeah, breaking into these new industries is like wild, and I've never done this before. I'm getting like all these requests from them, and like on the commercial side of things as well. And I'm like, oh, I don't know this. I need to like figure out how to apply this to these industries. Like, how do I talk about commercial soundproofing when I've never done it before?
Right.
And I guess is pretty exciting,
Interesting.
I don't know.
So
what got you into wanting to do sound editing in the first place? Because like for most people, it's not exactly an exciting thing.
It's not
for most people.
It's
not.
Dynamat has been around for 400 years, and you're like, well, just rub some Dynamat on it, throw some Windex on it if you want some sound dampening to go with it, and then you do what you want. But I mean, what got you excited about it?
Well, I mean, like for most people nowadays, sound deadening is like a really quick cash grab because you can go on Alibaba or wherever and get like the cheapest sound deadening and get your logo slapped on it, and you could sell it to your buddies in the industry, and you could sell them the most dog shit product on planet Earth. But guess what? You did some really cool marketing and it has a logo on it, and your buddies are selling it and using it. Cool, great. But for me, it was actually, believe it or not, it was out of necessity. I, like I said, the nature of what Apicella Auto Sound was, we are making the best sounding car audio systems possible. And as you guys know, what is the most important part to a good sounding car audio system is the installation. Okay. One of the parts and one of the main foundations of the installation is the room. If the room resonates, how the hell is your install going to sound good? Right? If you have rattles and resonance inside of the room you are listening to, there's no way it could possibly sound good. So I took sound treatment pretty seriously. And back in 2017 and before, the leader in performance for a constrained layer damper was Sound Deadener Showdown. And I was using their products for my customers. I wasn't even like, they didn't even have a dealer program. I was just buying it because it was the best. That's it. Like I could have, easily done Dynamat and made profit on, or I could have easily done, any of these other brands and made money on it. But I was like, screw that. I just want to get the best stuff and make sure my customers have the best products possible. And, and in return, their car sounds better. And one day I make an order with Sound Deadener Showdown, and the owner called me within like an hour, and he was like, "Hey, I really appreciate your order. I really appreciate your support over the years, but this is the last order I'm going to be processing as Sound Deadener Showdown." I was like, "Whoa, what?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm closing my doors." And I was like, "Whoa, okay, that's interesting." And I started like getting a little nervous because I was like, there was testing data out there that showed how much better this product really was. Like it was proven. It wasn't really debatable. Like there was data on it, and not the best data in the world, but it was still data, and it showed like, and even hands-on experience, like you could tell like this product is genuinely much better than everything else. And I got a little nervous. I was like, all right, what am I going to do? Am I going to start using Dynamat? I don't know. It's been a while since I've tried it, but I remember it being like super flimsy in comparison. Whatever. So what I did was I bought a bunch of other products to try them out. I bought Dynamat, I bought Second Skin, I bought Noiko, I bought everything on Amazon. I must have spent so much money just buying stuff to try it out. And I realized like even the stuff that tested close to Sound Deadener Showdown in reality was nowhere near the performance of it. Like the testing data, like the differences were actually much bigger in real life than what the graph showed or what you thought, it would have been. So I was like, damn, I'm really taking a hit here. So what I did was I actually tried to buy Sound Deadener Showdown. I reached out to the owner and I was like, I want to buy your company. And he was not interested in selling it. I'm not sure why, but he wouldn't really answer any questions about it. And that was kind of it. I found out a few years later from other suppliers in the industry why, I think, but we're not going to get into that. That's none of my business, no one else's business. But I was like, you know what? I'm knowledgeable about these products. I'm knowledgeable on the subject. And I'm also very resourceful. So I was like, you know what? I am just going to go make my own, and I'm going to make sure it's just as good, if not better, than Sound Deadener Showdown. I was like, if his supplier is here in the US, I can find it.
Right.
Turns out you can't find it. These companies that make these products, at least make the good products, are so buried that they're not on Google. You're not finding them. I promise you. It's pretty insane how hard it was. Next thing you know, I'm 6 weeks in and over 2,000 phone calls later of calling up, hey, can you guys make me this product? Where can I get some sound deadener? Who makes the goods? And it was crazy. It was kind of, I thought on the manufacturing side of things, it would be way more objective. But on the manufacturing side of things, it was just as bullshit as the retail side of things. Everyone was trying to just be a salesman. It's, oh yeah, we make the best product ever. Here, we'll send you some samples.
Right.
And it's garbage. It's garbage. I remember I got a sample from a company, US based manufacturer. They made it here in the US, 5 millimeters thick. Garbage performance.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible. It was so thick, but its performance was somehow so bad. I have no clue how it was so bad, but it just was. And they swore up and down.
What's the difference? What makes a good constraining? That's a constraining layer, right? Like what?
Yeah, the constrained layer damper. What makes a good constrained layer damper is a few things, but the most important is going to be the viscoelastic properties of the butyl. The butyl formula is going to be the most important part. So if you have a good
those who don't know what butyl is the black gooey shit.
It's not gooey. Well, it shouldn't be gooey. If yours is gooey, you have a problem.
Sticky.
If yours is gooey,
sticky stuff.
Yeah, it's viscoelastic. It's technically a fluid, but it's kind of a solid at the same time.
Okay. So, but there's different consistencies and whatever makes it good and not good.
It's like saying, oh wait, there's more than one type of speaker. There's many, many, many different things that make a speaker and many, many different ways to tweak a speaker. Right. And at the end of the day, it comes down to that butyl formula and its viscoelastic properties and its capability of being able to generate shear forces in the frequencies that you are really targeting. They do target a wide range of frequencies, but you can kind of tune it to be better for certain applications and certain frequency ranges. And then on top of that, you also have the stiffness of the constraining layer itself, the aluminum on top. The stiffness of that is also a big factor. So the thickness of the butyl isn't inherently a performance determinator. It's more so the butyl itself, and then the thickness of it, adding more does help, but at the same time, you can add too much, believe it or not. You can have too much to where it's actually allowing too much stretch. We don't want to do that. So, yeah. So it's fine-tuned. You can fine-tune this product. It's all right. So yeah, I'm locked in my room. I'm not even showing up to my shop at this point. I'm making a million goddamn phone calls, and I'm like seconds away from giving up. And I get this company on the phone. It's like my last ditch effort. Like I think I found the last US based manufacturer that makes this stuff. And they're like, yeah, we could sell you some stuff. And I was like, cool. Like, can you make it as good as this? They're like, yeah, you're just going to have to put in about $750,000 for research and development and give us about 9 to 12 months. I was like, I'm 27 years old and I live with my parents.
Right.
And they were like, so in that case, I can give you some stuff that we already make for the Kleenex of this industry, but it's just going to have no logo on it. And I was like, okay. I was like, I guess that works. I'm like, I'm so invested in this already. Like, I don't want to come out of this with nothing. I was like, what's your minimum order quantity? They're like, a truckload. I was like, oh my God. So I was like, so I heard someone talking in the background when I was on the phone with him, and I heard a name. They're like, oh, couldn't this company, like, don't they make products like this on occasion? Wouldn't they be more suited to like handle a small order? And he's like, yeah, but they don't do this anymore. And I managed to hear that conversation like on accident. And I hung up the phone immediately and I Googled this company and I managed to find them. I managed to find their phone number. And I'm like, hey, you guys manufacture constrained layer dampers? And they're like, well, we used to. And I was like, I need some. I need to make a product that's better than everything else. And they were the first ones that said, well, I don't know if that's possible. And I was like, interesting. Okay. They're like, can you send us a sample of what you're referring to? I was like, sure. I sent them like my last box of Sound Deadener Showdown, called me back 3 or 4 days later when they got it. And they're like, yeah, this is going to be hard to beat, but we'll try. And 3 weeks later, they sent me a sample. And to this very day, that is the same exact product that you get when you order ResoNix CLD squares.
Cool.
And it's, not to brag or anything, but when we test, it smashed Sound Editor Showdown. Like I was really excited about that.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, I was so excited about hearing of your products and the success that you've had that I decided to order some for myself.
Yeah.
So I think you're aware. I don't know. I haven't really broadcasted that I've built something new, but I have something working on. It's nowhere near what my BMW was as far as custom goes, but it's making me happy. And I will tell you that In the Doors is your product, and it's performed fantastically so far. I'm very happy with the product.
Cool.
I will also tell you that I used one of your buddies' buddy jobs. It was probably a no-name Alibaba thing that came from a buddy of a buddy. And I used that in my truck and my BMW, unfortunately. And that stuff started oozing and dripping out of the doors of the truck.
Oh, yeah.
And I can only imagine what's going on behind the dash of my BMW.
Yeah. That's your buddy in the industry, right? That's the cool guy, right?
Oh, yeah. So
it's the cool guys. They're the best. Use them.
Needless to say,
I find it so funny right. how our industry picks what products they want to use. Well, the cool guys are using it, and like my friend sells it, so it's got to be the best.
Well, that's kind of what we're doing here right now, to be honest with you.
No,
however,
it is.
You've got some data that makes
sense.
That's
what I was going to say. There's not a whole lot of data behind it, other than what logo is on there and who you're buying it from. Like that seems to be the majority of the call.
I can definitely be your buddy. Like I'm friends with plenty of people, but guess what? I'm not touching your fucking product.
Yeah.
If you can't sell me a product that's genuinely good, like if your sales pitch starts off with profit margins, or if your sales pitch starts with, how long your warranty is, or its country of origin, or some bullshit like that, I am not interested. I want you to tell me why your product is genuinely good and why, like, I want to get something out of your product. That's my goal. But it doesn't seem like my goals really align with, many other people in this industry. A lot of people are more so, like I said, it's more so based off relationships and like who the buddy is and who the cool guys are and like where the profit especially is. Some of these brands are charging so much goddamn money for like what is genuinely like the cheapest thing on planet Earth, but whatever.
I know there's the some kind of connection there, but I'm curious on how things got started with like you and Chris Purdue and the Deadening, because I know there's a lot of accusation coming across sometimes because ResoNix does well, but I'm curious how that relationship began. Was it one of those things where, hey, test my product, or was it him helping you get your product better?
It's funny you say the word is relationship. There really isn't a relationship. The only reason I know Chris Purdue is because he was also on the DIY mobile audio forums. Okay. And then like when Ben said, everyone kind of converted over to Facebook, and everyone started realizing, oh, this is the person, this is this guy from DIY mobile audio.
That's your screen name? Guy. You're that guy?
Yeah, exactly. And I realized, oh, that's the guy. And then next thing you know, he announced, he's like, I want to do testing again. And, he started his own group. And the only real relationship that we have is if I ask him for his measurements, he might send them to me. And then we'll also talk about death metal. We both like death metal. Right. That's it. But as far as anything else goes, that guy is honestly straight as an arrow when it comes to doing the testing in his group, to the point where it pisses me off, frankly, because I'm like, Chris, like, can you please send me these files? Like, I want to be able to have them saved here, and I want to be able, and he like, a lot of times, like, he like won't answer me, or he won't send things to me because he's like, Nick, I really want to, like, I don't do this with anyone else. I don't want to do the same thing with you.
Right. Well, and that's kind of why I wanted to ask too, because I didn't know for sure, but I know a lot of people when they come into it blind,
they think that I pay him.
Right. It's like, oh, well, ResoNix always wins here, so is that data driven, or is it something else nefarious? So that's why.
Well, here's the thing,
and I didn't really know, but so that's why I was asking.
You can test it in many different ways, sure. And one of the owners of one of those companies that I think we were just making fun of, did come into that group and started a whole thing. And he did the whole salesman thing where he talked about industry and buddies and friends, but not one speck of thing about genuine performance of the product.
Right.
And everyone like calling out like, dude, you're in a hobbyist group where we care about performance. Shut the fuck up. We don't care about salesman shit here.
Right.
Like, we're genuinely interested in performance. And guess what? If your product performed the best, that's what we would be talking about. But guess what? It didn't. This is the product that performed the best. So whatever product would have performed, like hypothetically, like it doesn't matter if it's mine, it doesn't matter if it's something else. Whatever happened to do the best in his testing would obviously be the one that they're talking about, right? That makes perfect sense, you know?
Right.
It just so happened to be mine. Frankly, going into it, I knew, like, I have my own data. I do my own testing.
Right.
I knew mine was the best going into it. So I was very excited about it. I was like, yeah, let's go. Because frankly, I'm not going to post my own data because that's when it's like, oh, who are you kidding right now?
Yeah, right. You can make up whatever numbers you want. Yeah.
Again, I could be as straight of an arrow as possible, and people would still claim like, oh yeah, you think you're gonna fool us, you idiot?
Right.
No, like, so I was like, oh cool, finally some third party testing, and he did them, and sure enough, our product is very, very good. And it's even, like I said, going to show, like, back to this aerospace engineering company. They did their own testing. You want to know how the U.S. military does their testing for this?
Yes.
It's much more in depth than Chris Purdue's. Okay. And guess what? My product still smashed everything else.
Right.
Okay. Out of 80 different products that they tested on their rig, they built a mock hull of this product or this spacecraft, whatever that they're building. And they have accelerometers all over this goddamn thing, and they're testing vibration on it with many different products. And, you know, it's funny. They said they would share that data with me when they're done with the project.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to interpret it because it's going to be, you know, like I said, it's five, like, yeah, I don't, you know, my knowledge only goes so far. You know, I'm very knowledgeable about sound treatment, but I am not by any stretch of the means a PhD engineer in, you know, whatever. So, yeah.
Cool.
So what for somebody else coming into the industry, or even as an enthusiast wanting to grow, obviously we have the competitors who listen to this, as well as the general sound quality enthusiasts, as well as the people who are in the industry. But if you could go back and give yourself a piece of advice going forward into your journey in this, what would that be? What would you tell yourself?
Are you talking about car audio, or are you talking about sound?
I think yeah, car audio in general, I would say, just as far as your not sound editing in specific, but more your general journey through car audio. What would you?
My journey could have been much better, and I could have been maybe, like, when it comes to just car audio stuff, I think I could have been a little further ahead quicker if I stopped putting so much stock into one person. I'm not going to name his name, but it starts with Ann and ends in D. Waymeyer. But frankly, what I'm getting at is, take everything with a grain of salt. Yeah, there's a lot of smart people out there, but
there's more than one smart person.
There's more than one smart person. And at the same time, there are people that have there's a reason why they're saying what they're saying. It. Yeah, ulterior motive. Like, everyone has some sort of motive, but when their motive is like purely their only, like, the only thing that they've really got, it kind of leads to some things being watered down so much. Like I said before, I think we need to stop watering everything down in our industry. And I think that's a huge problem. And by the way, I very much do respect Andy. He is very smart. He's very good at what he does. But I do wish that I didn't put all of my stock into everything that he said, because it was as soon as I stopped that I really started progressing. And Cliff, when you did hear my car for the first time, that was a purely listening to Andy part of my life. When, okay, everything the measurement says has got to be true. Setting time alignment with a tape measure, it's perfect. That's it. why would it be any different? And blah, 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 blah. Like, use all of this and do it that way. And guess what? I can confidently say that car wasn't sounding that great. It wasn't until that I started trying different things and actually using my ears and, to where I started getting what I'm confident in is really good.
Yeah. And I think part of that is Andy, like others in the industry, especially those who kind of, are in front of people a lot, the prolific speakers who are very confident in what they're saying, it comes across as there's one objective truth on the path from A to Z for me to obtain what I want in this system or whatever it is, and whether that be with your business or that is with your car or how it sounds or how it performs. And I think, it's been well proven over the years that there are many ways to get to that point, and you kind of have to find your best way to get there with the people who are investing the energy in that. And then just because something is objective doesn't mean, because something can be objectively explained or described in a succinct amount of time doesn't necessarily make it right.
Well, it's not that any of it is wrong. It's
correct.
The problem I have with it is
it's not
like,
the
wait
only.
a second. It's like, no, not even that. It's like, wait a second. You told me this is complete. Like, this is it. Like, we're like, this is as good as it really gets.
Well,
and it's like, wait, no.
Yeah. Right.
That's the thing. It's like there's more to do after the basic, outline that you have. And
but most people struggle with the basics, and I understand Andy's
and that's why he does it. And I totally understand.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I was going to say, I think his claim isn't to have the best sounding car on earth. His claim is, hey, this will get you to 80% in a reliable way that a lot of people won't be able to explain.
But you just said percentages. He doesn't like that. You better watch out.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
No. Well, the gripe that I have with that is if we don't teach and we don't understand the more complex parts of it, how are we going to be doing car audio in 10 years?
Right.
Well, we are already like, if you do a modern car right now, like Ben, if you happen to get a 2023 or 2024 GMC Sierra with Bose, have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Well, same is true with, we just bought a new Lexus that has the Harman Kardon, the Mark Levinson system. That's
anything
the
like that.
Same situation. Like,
and here's the thing, they sound decent. Let's be real. For your average consumer, it sounds decent, So why, why is a consumer going to spend an extra $10,000+ to make it better when all you're teaching these professionals is, okay, do 1-to-1 input output and just equalize it.
Amplify
Don't touch time alignment.
Exactly.
Yeah. Get
Use
more power and equalize. It's like, what do you mean? You're going to tell me taking $10,000+ from a client is going to be worth it to them and they're going to do this again, when the only thing that's different is it's a little bit louder and it might sound a little bit cleaner, but there's still no staging, there's still no imaging, there's still no impact, things are still out of phase, things still sound weird. What? You really think this is like gonna last? It's not sustainable. We need to be able to like confidently go into any car and be able to create a soundstage, whether it's 1 seat, 2 seat, that part doesn't really matter. It's more so we really need to teach people how to make these cars actually sound good, instead of just saying, go 1-to-1, don't touch the time alignment, don't touch the phase, and just amplify it and equalize it to a house curve and it's done. No, it's fucking not.
Well, and
Sorry
I'll say with that, I mean, comes that you actually have some proof in the pudding, because from a sound quality competition side of things, you're one of the very few guys who's come in through the industry and also competing, and then continuously gotten better and also been able to clearly be ahead of the pack with what's currently out there with what's essentially shop cars. You have a couple people in the industry who have their competition vehicles, but I mean, you're coming in with your demo vehicles essentially and doing extremely well. And that's been awesome to see. So,
I mean, it's fun too, Car looks factory for the most part, except for the tweeters on the pillars. It's the only thing that doesn't look factory. And It
That it's got to
frankly,
be
the
that
car
way
rips.
for most customers.
Yeah.
It's got to be that way.
Yeah, and
So
I guarantee you, that car has allowed me to do what I do.
Mhm.
Period. No if. There's no question about it. There's not a person. There's not a thing inside of me. It's purely like, well, the thing I did build that car, whatever. But like that car has allowed me to do what I do.
yeah,
Period.
we should definitely start a thread on the art of the demo and see where that goes.
It's not even, well, there is an art to the demo. Like you obviously have to read your customer and like know what they want. Frankly, sitting there, what kind of music do you like? That is the stupidest thing you can do. Don't do that.
No.
Pick for them because they don't know.
Yep.
Just surprise them, but being able to know, okay, this is what
And
I think is going to surprise. Yeah.
Explain what you're hearing in terms that they can understand, and then look up and
Minimal
see the
explanation.
sound, right? Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I've noticed minimal explanation and just wow them with how it sounds. That's all you need to do. You know, frankly, I sold my most expensive sound system ever to a guy that came in looking just to get his radio replaced.
Yeah.
And, I was like, oh, do you want to come hear my car? And he was like, yeah, sure. I forget how we even got to that point, but he listened to my car and he's like, whoa.
Free candy.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, wow, this is cool. Can we do something like this in my car? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Next thing you know, we're doing an $85,000 sound system to a guy that originally just wanted to get a radio replaced. And I didn't even sell that to him. He was like, if we're going to do this, let's do the best. And I'm like, whoa. Like, what do you mean? Like, it turns out this guy has a $250,000 home system and is a concert pianist in Carnegie Hall. So
Nice.
he can make use of this, I guess you could say.
Right.
But it's crazy. Being able to show people is why. And guess what? That was back when I had no subwoofer in the Volvo, and it was just kind of slapped together really quick, threw a tune on it, and OEM integration. But guess what? Not done one-to-one. Yeah, you could do every input, but being able to adjust and correct those inputs to where you can create a one-seat tune is so. I think it's so important. I think it's pretty crazy that there's a few people that are pushing against that. Not the inherent fact that like a one-seat tune is better, but like I think it's crazy that people are like pushing against the methods that allow you to create a soundstage. I think it's crazy to me. That's like the most enjoyable part of a sound system.
For sure.
For most people.
Right.
Or
well, and
for
it's the next, the next dimensional thing that comes in that, brings that realism to the picture.
Yeah. And that's most of what these factory systems are missing. They're not really missing bass. Dude, some of these cars have bass in them now. It's pretty crazy. They're not missing impact or detail. Like it's all kind of there. What it's all missing is a correct soundstage.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not all perfect, but they are pretty much all unanimously missing a correct soundstage. And again, whether you do that in one seat or two seat or whatever is doesn't matter. But frankly, the way to really do it at the moment is you're kind of stuck with making it one seat. I wish we could do it two seat, but it's never proven to be a way that ends well for me. I've tried the one-to-one. I've tried up mixers. I've heard sound systems with, I've heard Andy's new 2-seat Volvo. Like it's all of these different methods are like, nothing's really scratched that itch for me in the past couple of years. But if I listened to him 5 or 6 or 7 years ago when I was still like just learning, like, whoa, great. Oh my God. But guess what? There's customers that like will still think it sounds pretty decent, but like they're not going to be stoked about handing over 5 figures for it to only be a little bit different.
Sure.
That's not acceptable.
I've got a varying question here, and I think Ben's got one more question after that. But being that your adult life has kind of all been car audio, right, and in the industry in different ways, you've grown up along with your experience in the industry. But how do you think you've changed the most from coming into this to where you are now?
I think the biggest thing is realizing that I know what I don't know. In previous years, like I said, like putting all of my faith into, certain people, like you kind of start brainwashing yourself and thinking, yeah, like this is it. This is the way, and everything, like this is
I don't have
concrete.
to question that anymore. I just go forward.
Yeah. Like perfect example is like, when Matt Hall was doing all the amplifier testing, and I was like, bullshit. Like, what is the point of this? Like, they all sound pretty much the same because somebody said they do. And that happens to be the person that I trust. Well, guess what? It turns out a couple years later, I did my own amp test. They don't sound anywhere near the same, and oh, wait, we can actually use our ears after we use a microphone. And oh my God, my system sounds so much better. And wait a second, I used my ears to dial in time alignment. Oh my God. So I like being able to do all of that. I realized, yeah, number one, stop putting stock into pretty much one person or even anyone. Number two, realize that there are definitely things out there that you don't know, and definitely don't speak on subjects that you don't have firsthand experience with. No matter how much you've read about that subject, if you haven't had your hands on it, I guarantee you don't have the full story.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned is if you haven't had your hands on it, you don't know. Period. And that's proven true in car audio, in like the hardware side of things, in like the knowledge side of things, in other aspects of life. Like if you haven't had your hands on it, you don't know about it. Just leave it at that. And that's kind of where I've changed. And also, frankly, just calming down a little bit. Everyone has, seriously, like calming down a little bit. Like everyone has shit going on, and, give people some leeway. Because now as a small business owner, like, I get, maybe there's things that come up that are out of someone's control. You don't immediately need to be a dick about it.
Maybe wait 5 minutes, then be a dick about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like if you keep emailing, hey, where's my order? Hey, where's my order? Hey, and they keep lying about it. Okay, be a dick.
Right.
But like, I have plenty of people that have, hey, like I didn't get my order yet. And I'm like, I'm like, wait, it says completed. And it's like, oh shit, I forgot to send that one out. I'm so sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'll usually do is I'll make up for it. And whether it's I'll send extra product, or I'll give them a discount, or I'll give them a coupon code for the future, or but I do what I can to alleviate those situations. But and I do absolutely try my best to have like the most rock solid customer service possible.
Sure.
I don't know where I was going with this, but
no, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, I have a parting question. This is a simple yes or no.
Party question?
A parting question. That means we want to get you out of here.
So my cats are actually both staring at me right now, which means I do have to go soon.
That means they want to eat you. Yes.
They do want to eat, but it's 2 hours early, buddy. You got to go away.
No. I said they want to eat. They want to eat you. Okay.
Maybe. Anyways.
Simple yes or no, but then why or why not? Does dynamic EQ have a place in an SQ system?
Can I qualify that question first?
No.
No. I mean, like,
you can ask for clarification.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, okay, I'm asking for a little. No. So, does this involve OEM integration or no?
No. So let's say you're starting
just
with
assuming perfect signal.
A aftermarket source unit that has a good clean signal. Is there a reason to use dynamic EQ in a SQ vehicle, or is there not?
I've never really thought about it, but my initial reaction is, sure, why not? Okay. we do have the equal loudness contour that's built into our brains. As as volume goes up, our brain perceives sound a little different. So like maybe why not? And it might not be technically correct, but it could be more enjoyable. I've gotten recently towards the. Actually, no, I can't say that. I was going to say I've recently strayed away from technically correct, but I actually still freakishly obsess over correct imaging and soundstage, so I can't really say that. But I do. Yeah. I unhealthily obsess over how perfect center image is.
There is nothing wrong with that. Yes.
But I have allowed myself to mess around with tonality in order to make things more enjoyable for myself.
Of course.
So, yeah, sure. Why not?
Okay.
What do you think? What about you?
I don't want to state my opinion on the matter yet because I intend to ask this question for everybody we interview that I happen to be on with. And I just want to kind of have it a season long question that we start and just kind of get the thoughts turning, I guess.
If this was like a competition car, like if I'm about to get judged, no, I'm not using dynamic EQ. I'm not going to do that because the rules state we're going to judge at a certain volume and we can just target our system for that volume. Oh, great. Now my cats are fighting each other.
Okay.
Well, but they don't really do that. Let's be real.
Well, there are linearity tests involved in SQ judging where it's a lower level, a medium level, and a high level.
Oh, yeah, there is. So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. So you know what? Then, yeah, you know what? Screw it. Fuck it. I'll use dynamic EQ.
Okay. Cool.
The processor I use, they recently came out with dynamic EQ. I didn't really play with it yet, but you know what? You've kind of inspired me to go mess with it a little bit.
And that was the point of the question. So perfect.
Yeah. I don't know.
Awesome.
Cliff, what about you? Is Cliff allowed to answer this or no?
No, not yet.
You guys are annoying.
All right.
Just like I was saying with Chris Purdue, it's like, no, I'm not allowed to tell you how the test went. You're annoying. Come on, just help me.
I'm sure we will.
No, you're fine. I was going to say I'm. There's going to be repeats here, I'm sure, at some point. So, and I'm guessing we'll have you back on at some point soon. So, because I'm sure there's more to discuss than what we did today. But is there anything regarding what we discussed today that you wanted to say that maybe you didn't get an opportunity to?
Yeah, I guess last parting words are, like I said, I am focusing on ResoNix, but I am starting up Apicella Auto Sound again. Okay. Not in the same capacity that I did previously, but I will be offering like custom high-end sound system installation for select projects. So for those that really want like high-end sound system installs, it's something that I'm offering. And if, I'm not going to be doing like, I want to do like just something basic with maybe this, sub and a basic, but I'm not doing that. But like if it's a project that I'm excited about, it's something I want to do. ResoNix is my main thing now, and I do enough with it to where it's my source of income. But I do want to have fun with car audio again.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
But I'm not going to do it for free.
So. Right. So
Apicella Auto Sound is going to be doing its thing as soon as I get my property back. That is, but it's looking like that's going to be very, very, very soon.
Cool.
But like I said, I'm not allowed to talk about that yet, right, or else my lawyer's going to come over here and suplex me. But whatever.
Got it. Well, we appreciate you taking the time, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah. Also, thank you to you guys. It's when I first started Apicella Auto Sound years ago, I think you started these podcasts around the same time.
Yep.
And it was really cool because I never really met any of these people. I never really knew their stories at all. And as someone who was really new to it, I listened to your podcast all the time back then.
Awesome.
And I just want to say thank you for, doing what you guys do. Clearly, it's not like anyone's actually, no, people are paying you because I paid to advertise on 4 of these. So I was going to say thank you for doing this for free, but I just realized that's not true.
Up until now, we did. But
you did. But no, like, thank you guys for doing this.
But like you, there has to be some incentive to do something and some
or else you fall out of it.
Desire for it to be high quality and consistent, because that's really what builds the audience and gets everybody engaged. And if you
don't and it allows you, having some sort of incentive where, it allows you, oh, cool, we can buy that new microphone or we can buy that new software to where we can make this podcast better. But I just wanted to say thank you to both of you. I'm looking forward to what you guys do with this, and I'm looking forward to more of your podcasts. It's really cool that you're doing it again.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
And I'm sure everyone would agree with that. So, awesome. Yeah.
All right. We'll chat soon.
All right. I'll talk to you guys.